We know Dunkin' Donuts are always fresh and come in more varieties than supermarkets.
Excuse me.
But we like to make sure.
Do you have delicious chocolate frosted donuts like Dunkin' Donuts?
No.
Do you have 5 kinds of jelly donuts?
No. Ma'am.
Were these made fresh this morning?
No.
Good. Dunkin' Donuts. Up to 52 varieties made fresh day and night. No supermarket can say that.
Many know the saying that America runs on Dunkin' Donuts, but few know the story behind the founder, William Rosenberg. In the 8th grade, he dropped out of school to support his family and became the genius of many inventions, one of them being franchising, which paved the way for McDonald's, KFC, Subway, and other chains to succeed. In 1916, William was born to immigrant Jewish parents in a humble urban neighborhood called Dorchester in Boston. His family owned a grocery store, but were still considered poor and struggled to pay their bills since they didn't save enough for the down payment. So William started delivering groceries for them and worked several odd jobs as early as 10 years old. He picked up and dropped off laundry, sorted mail, shined shoes, handed out newspapers, gave out ice cream, and even sold pieces of ice. Some days, he had to climb 3 flights of stairs with a heavy block of ice and a big water pan underneath. At the end of the day, he was so exhausted he could barely move. Still, he took pride in his work and the lessons that it taught him. I learned that if I believed I could do something and had a positive attitude and was there to serve people, I could succeed. It didn't make any difference if I was shining shoes or selling newspapers. Maintaining a positive attitude prepared him for many unfortunate events. When the Great Depression hit, William and his family survived, emotionally and financially, but not without sacrifice. William insisted on dropping out of school in the 8th grade to support the family after they lost their store. Not long after, he got a full-time job delivering telegrams. The faster he pedaled his bike and the harder he worked, the more commission he earned. Eventually, he became the best in his division, but he quit after 3 years to make more money at Simcoe, a company that sold ice cream out of refrigerated trucks. It was there where he met his first mentor, Harry Winokur. Harry was an accountant for Simcoe who taught William everything he needed to know about balance sheets, statements, and figures. These skills helped him grow within the company. Over 4 years, he rose from being a delivery boy to a manager and later a national sales manager. His time at the company helped him start a new life altogether. He married Harry's sister-in-law, started a family, and moved into a high-class neighborhood. Good fortune was finally on his side, up until he received a message that he was bound to hear. The draft board informed him that he would have to fight in the Second World War unless he found an essential job. So he left Simcoe and headed towards a nearby shipyard in search of a new job. They offered him a handyman position for minimum wage, but he wasn't happy. "Are you kidding me? I have a refrigerator engineer license," William barked. "What does that qualify you for?" they asked. "Plumbing or electrical?" William answered. The shipyard was impressed and offered William a job as an electrician and the highest salary they could afford. The only problem is that while William did obtain a license while working for Simcoe, he could barely put a plug in a socket. It didn't take long for William's manager to find out. He was electrocuted on his first day at work and switched to the cable department. Still, his manager saw potential in him and paired him with a couple of his top technicians. Like Harry, they mentored him and taught him everything he needed to know. It goes to prove that no matter how little you know, if you're eager to learn, ask questions, and go to the right people, you can do almost anything. Over a decade, William went from being an 8th grade dropout to an electrician in training. Deep down, William knew that being an electrician wasn't for him, so he started to look for other opportunities at the shipyard. With support from his colleagues, he won the position of a union delegate and was later promoted to contract coordinator. Since his new position was considered essential, he never got called to fight in the war, but his youngest brother Donald did. Similar to William, Donald rose through the ranks quickly and became a lieutenant in the army, though Donald never got to enjoy the same freedom as William. He never made it back home. He was killed in the war. When William received the news, he was devastated. Losing Donald made him reflect on what he was capable of and what he always wanted to accomplish, starting his own business. Life will test you, that's a promise. It's what you do with the challenges that determine your failure or your success. Around that time, William was approached by 2 men who had heard about his success at Simcoe. They wanted him to work for their new catering company, Industrial Luncheon Services. When William turned down their offer, they offered to give him a third of the company for $2,500. Harry looked into the opportunity for him and encouraged him to go for it. So with $1,500 in war bonds and a $1,000 loan from his mother, he became a partner. As William grew the company and quadrupled sales, he realized that he made a big mistake. His partners were the wrong people to get into business with. They secretly sold products on the black market and were only interested in making a quick buck. So William decided to cut ties with them and run his own catering company with Harry. The loss of Donald gave him the confidence he needed and faith that nothing could stop him. To save money, he and his wife and 2 kids moved into a single room in his parents' house. It was a tough time for them, but worth it considering his former partners never gave his money back. Fortunately, working with them led to discovering a commodity that would change William's luck: coffee. At the time, few Americans knew how to make quality coffee. Instead of grinding and brewing the beans, they boiled an instant mix into a pot and kept it hot for several hours, which made it lose flavor. It either tasted burnt or like flavored water. Still, coffee made up 40% of William's former partner's sales. He had a hunch that Americans would one day be hooked on quality coffee and that it would become the backbone of his business. So he ordered a 100-gallon stainless steel tank with a bag on top to make drip coffee. After the water was boiled, it would be poured over the coffee grounds just until the brew reached the right strength. He also decided to order gallons of cream and milk instead of the artificial plastic containers from the best dairy company around. When William told his suppliers about his business, they became curious. They asked how much he had planned to charge for a cup of coffee. 10 cents a cup, William told them. Are you crazy? You can't charge that much. Even the high-class hotels sell coffee for 5 cents a cup, they told them. Others are selling 6 ounces of flavored water, but I'm gonna sell 12 ounces of quality coffee, William said. You can't do that, they argued. Watch me, William insisted. William had big plans, and no one could stop him. He was a natural entrepreneur who was always thinking about how he could do things better and more efficiently. So when he came up with the idea of catering food out of a truck and discovered there were few left after the war, he pivoted towards something different. He bought 10 taxi cabs and chassis and built insulated food trucks with side hinges, heating units, stainless steel shelves, and a coffee tank holder. Inside, he would serve top-quality sandwiches, soups, donuts, pastries, and coffee. That's how we designed what is commonly called a food truck. You see them everywhere now. We were innovators and creators, doing things differently. Running the business was never easy. William got up at 2 a.m. every day to prepare the food and coffee for his drivers. But they became a hit, and within a year, he landed his prominent feature in the Boston Herald with the headline, Meals on Wheels. Eventually, the business expanded into running cafeterias. William and his employees would buy, install, and operate the equipment for many companies. And just as he predicted, people were hooked on his coffee. He even struggled to keep up with the demand until he hired an engineering firm to create a custom machine. He was one of the few Americans who knew people were willing to pay for quality coffee. 3 years after opening, William discovered a new commodity: donuts. Along with coffee, it brought over 40% of his sales. Coffee and donuts are like husband and wife, William would say. So he decided to make his own instead of purchasing them, and poached the baker from his cellar, Alvin Johnson. It was a smart move. Alvin told William that at his last company, their donut store made more money than their wholesale trucks since they didn't have to pay any delivery costs. William was shocked and could feel the same fire in his belly that he felt when he started his catering company. There was no question that he would make quality donuts and open a store too. That weekend, William drove around Boston to find the right location for the right price. Fortunately, he found a small space in Quincy. It used to be an awning store, and before that, 3 different gas stations. Nobody had ever succeeded there, so he was able to negotiate a lease for a lower price. Harry hated the idea, but knew there was no stopping William. William called his donut store Open Kettle, and like his first business, made it different from the start. He was the first to offer seats so that customers could eat inside, sold 28 kinds of donuts instead of the typical 4, and served coffee and other beverages. After just 1 year, the business made around $3,000 a week. It was later renamed to Dunkin Donuts before expanding into 5 stores. But William had a hunch that they could do better and expand across the US. For that to happen, they would need to start franchising. Once again, Harry hated the idea and told him he was crazy. Why complicate things by franchising? We already have enough stores, Harry argued. If I don't make it by the time I'm 45 years old, when am I gonna make it? William told him. He knew that pivoting towards coffee and donuts would lead to a successful franchise. Aside from the disagreements, tension started brewing for other reasons. Harry's wife Etta, who was the sister of William's wife, allegedly disliked how William was getting all the recognition for the business's success. Many people would even refer to him as Mr. Donut. That's when Harry decided to cut ties with William and start a donut store, ironically called Mr. Donut. While William now had the freedom to start franchising, he was financially constrained. Ending his partnership with Harry involved buying him out with money he didn't have. He had to borrow thousands of dollars from friends and even his suppliers. His debt led to slowing down Dunkin Donuts' growth for years and starting all over again to build its momentum. Now, he would have to do more than get people hooked on his coffee and donuts. He would have to prove to the world that franchising was a legitimate and profitable business. At the time, many unreliable and untrustworthy people were franchising, so their franchisees made little money and started to make complaints to the government. The government ended up passing legislation that could have killed the industry. Franchising became illegal in some states and banned from appearing in ads in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times. Still, William believed that franchising was the epitome of entrepreneurship and that it would become one of the most dynamic economic factors in the world. So, he decided to start the International Franchise Association, where reliable and trustworthy entrepreneurs could exchange ideas and help each other with legal, real estate, and other issues. Even though Harry was against the idea in the past, he turned Mr. Donut into a competing franchise. 6 years after the IFA launch, Dunkin Donuts opened over 100 stores across the US. Other businesses grew from the association's support too, including KFC, McDonald's, and Subway. William would often say to his employees that he'd hoped every single one of them would one day become a millionaire. The more people you have doing well, the better off you'll be. It was my philosophy and policy. I didn't tolerate anyone who thought otherwise. At the height of Dunkin Donuts' success, William's son Bob, who was getting an MBA at Harvard, walked in his office to ask a surprising question. "Where did you learn everything you know about business?" "I guess by doing it." "Why?" William answered. "Everything they've been teaching me at school is what you've been telling me all along," Bob told him. William never forgot that conversation. It made him realize that having a formal education isn't everything in the world. It's more than a formal education that makes you a leader or successful in life. It's your attitude, your hunger to achieve, your empathy towards people, and your ability to meet and get along with people. Those are the important things. Eventually, William took a backseat from his day-to-day responsibilities and handed them over to Bob. That way, he could focus on the next big dream, going public. By that time, franchisors were the dot-coms of the late 1900s. The industry was growing in leaps and bounds. Wall Street bankers told William that he could go public at $15 a share, but he insisted that the company was worth more and pushed for $20 a share. "If you know so much about our business, what do you think it will open at?" they asked him. "I guarantee it will open at $25 a share," William answered. William was right. Dunkin Donuts even closed at $26 a share, exceeding Wall Street expectations. On that day, William's dream for the company and his employees who had a stock option plan came true. Every single one of them became millionaires. In his memoir, William wrote, "I don't care who or what you are, how much money you have or don't have, what religion you practice or language you speak. Every man and woman is entitled to a dream." Today, there are over 11,000 Dunkin' stores worldwide across 36 countries. This is the story of how an 8th grade dropout turned entrepreneur beat the odds many times, built the world's largest donut and coffee chain, and paved the way for the franchising industry. For more inspiring stories and advice from today's most successful leaders, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.